The cold bit into my skin like 1,000 tiny knives, each gust of wind more vicious than the last. -10 degrees Celsius. That is what the weather app had said before my phone died, before everything went dark, before my father turned the lock and left me out here to freeze. My name is Daniel Whitmore, and I am 24 years old. I should be inside right now, sitting by the fireplace with a mug of hot chocolate, watching the snow fall through warm windows. Instead, I am pressed against the side of my childhood home, my fingers already numb. My breath coming out in desperate clouds of white vapor that disappear into the black Christmas Eve sky. I never thought my father was capable of this. Cold, yes. Distant, absolutely. But a murderer. That is what this is it not? Leaving your own son outside in sub-zero temperatures on the coldest night of the year, that is not punishment. That is a death sentence. Let me take you back 6 hours to when this nightmare began. When I thought the worst thing about this Christmas was going to be another year of my father's disapproving silence. I had arrived at the family estate around 3 in the afternoon. The Whitmore mansion sat on 15 acres of pristine Connecticut countryside, a monument to old money and older secrets. My grandmother, Margaret Whitmore, had built this empire from nothing, turning a small textile business into a billion-dollar corporation before she died 3 years ago. Since then, the house had felt different, emptier, like something vital had been cut away. My father, Richard Whitmore, had inherited everything. The company, the properties, the investments, everything except grandmother's personal fortune, which she had mysteriously placed in a trust that none of us could access. Not yet, anyway. Her will stipulated that the trust would only be opened on Christmas Eve, 3 years after her death. Tonight, this very night, I pulled up to the circular driveway in my beat-up Honda, a stark contrast to my father's collection of luxury vehicles. He had made it very clear over the years that I was not worthy of the Whitmore name. Too soft, he said. Too emotional. Too much like my mother, who had died when I was 7. The front door opened before I could knock. My father stood there, tall and imposing in his tailored suit, his silver hair perfectly combed, his face an unreadable mask. "Welcome home, Daniel," he said, his voice flat and formal, as if I were a business associate rather than his only child. "Hi, Dad," I replied, trying to keep the nervousness out of my voice. "Thanks for having me." He stepped aside without a word, and I entered the grand foyer. Everything was decorated for Christmas, but it felt hollow. The 12-foot tree in the corner was professionally decorated, each ornament placed with mathematical precision. There was no warmth here, no joy, just expensive things arranged in expensive ways. "The lawyer will be here at 8 o'clock, my father said, checking his watch. "The reading of the trust documents is scheduled for 8:30. I expect you to be presentable and on time." "Of course," I said. "Dad, I was hoping we could talk before then, about everything, about Mom, about Grandmother, about us." Jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "There is nothing to discuss, Daniel. The past is the past. But it is not, though, is it? The past is always here, in this house, in every room, in every silence between us. I can feel her everywhere. Grandmother, I mean, do you ever feel that?" My father's eyes turned cold, colder than the winter air outside. "Your grandmother's dead, Daniel. She's been dead for 3 years. Whatever you think you feel is simply your imagination running wild, as it always has. Now, I suggest you go to your old room and prepare yourself. This is a business matter, not a family reunion." He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing through the empty halls. I stood there for a moment, feeling like that 7-year-old boy again, desperately seeking approval from a man made of ice. I went upstairs to my childhood bedroom. Everything was exactly as I had left it 6 years ago when I moved out for college. The same posters on the walls, the same books on the shelves, the same uncomfortable tension in the air. I sat on the bed and pulled out my phone, scrolling through old photos of my grandmother. Margaret Whitmore had been the only person who had ever truly seen me. While my father criticized every decision I made, she had encouraged me. She had listened to my dreams of becoming a writer, of traveling the world, of doing something meaningful with my life. She had told me that money was not everything, that the Whitmore fortune was a tool, not a purpose. "I have left you something special, Daniel," she had told me 2 weeks before she died, "something that will change everything. But you must be patient. You must wait for the right time." I had asked her what she meant, But she had only smiled that mysterious smile of hers and changed the subject. Now, 3 years later, I was finally going to find out. The hours crawled by, tried to read, tried to write, tried to do anything to pass the time. But all I could think about was that locked trust, those sealed documents, the secret my grandmother had been keeping. At 7:30, I went downstairs. The lawyer had not arrived yet, but my father was in the study, pouring himself a whiskey. His third, from the look of it. "You are early," he said without looking at me. "I wanted to talk to you before the lawyer gets here," I said, stepping into the room. "Dad, whatever is in that trust, whatever grandmother left behind, I do not want it to come between us. We are family. That should matter more than money." He turned to face me then, and something in his expression made my blood run cold. It was not anger. It was something darker, something desperate. "You have no idea what you are talking about," he said, his words slightly slurred. "You think this is about money? You think any of this has ever been about money? Then what is it about?" I asked, moving closer. "Tell me, please. I want to understand." He laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "You want to understand? You want to know the truth? The truth is that your grandmother was a manipulative, controlling woman who spent her entire life playing games with people, and even in death, she continues to play them." "Do not talk about her like that," I said, feeling anger rise in my chest. "She loved us. She loved me. She loved herself," my father spat. "She loved her power, her control, her ability to make everyone dance like puppets on strings. And you, her precious Daniel, you were her favorite puppet of all. What are you talking about?" He took another long drink, draining his glass. "The trust, Daniel. You want to know what is in the trust? I will tell you. I will save everyone the trouble of this ridiculous charade. Dad, maybe you should stop drinking and we can wait for the lawyer." "The trust contains evidence," he continued, ignoring me. "Evidence of everything I have done, every decision I have made, every mistake, every secret. She documented it all. She watched me my entire life, waiting for me to fail, waiting to prove that I was not worthy of her precious empire." My heart was pounding now. "What evidence? What are you talking about?" He moved toward me, and I could smell the alcohol on his breath. "Your mother's death, Daniel. The car accident. It was not an accident." The room seemed to tilt. "What?" "I was driving," he said, his voice barely a whisper now. "I was drunk. We had been fighting about money, about the business, about your grandmother's constant interference in our lives. I lost control. The car went off the road. She died instantly. I felt like I could not breathe." "You killed Mom?" "It was an accident," he said, but there was no conviction in his voice. "I did not mean to, but your grandmother knew. Somehow she knew. She had investigators, private detectives. She gathered evidence. Instead of turning me in, she used it. She held it over me for 17 years, making me dance, making me perform, making me prove myself worthy of not being exposed." The room was spinning. All these years of his coldness, his distance, his cruelty, underneath it all was this terrible secret. "And now," he continued, "that evidence is in the trust. Once it is opened, once those documents are read, everything will come out. My life will be over. The company will be destroyed. The Whitmore name will be ruined." I backed away from him, my mind racing. "We need to call the police. We need to tell them. You need to turn yourself in." He laughed again. That same bitter sound, "turn myself in." "After everything I have built, everything I have sacrificed. No, Daniel, I will not do that." "Then what are you going to do?" He looked at me with eyes that were no longer quite human. "Whatever I have to." That is when I heard it. It's the sound of a car on the gravel driveway. The lawyer was arriving. "Do not do this," I said, moving toward the door. "Please, Dad. We can figure this out together." But he was faster than I expected, grabbed my arm, his grip like iron, and pulled me toward the back of the house. I struggled, but he was stronger, driven by some desperate energy that I could not match. He dragged me to the back door, the one that led out to the garden, to the acres of forest beyond. The snow was falling heavily now, and the temperature had dropped even further. "Dad, please," I begged, "do not do this." He opened the door, and the cold air hit me like a physical blow. Then he shoved me out into the snow, into the darkness, into the killing cold. "I'm sorry, Daniel," he said, and for just a moment, I saw something like pain in his eyes. "But I cannot let you ruin everything. Not for a dead woman's revenge." The door slammed shut. I heard the lock click. I pounded on the door, screaming for him to let me back in, but there was no response. Through the window, I could see him walking away, back toward the front of the house, back toward the lawyer, back toward whatever lie he was planning to tell. That was 2 hours ago, maybe 3. I've lost track of time. The cold has moved from my fingers and toes up into my arms and legs. My movements are slower now, more difficult. I know what is happening. I am freezing to death. I've tried everything. Broke a window, but the security system activated. And my father's voice came over the intercom telling me that if I tried to enter the house, he would call the police and have me arrested for breaking and entering. I tried my phone, but it died from the cold. I tried to walk to the main road, but the driveway is nearly a mile long, and in this snow, in this cold, I would never make it. So here I am, pressed against the stone wall of my childhood home, feeling the life drain out of me degree by degree. I am going to die here. It's on Christmas Eve, because my father chose his secrets over his son. The snow is beautiful, at least. In the moonlight, each flake looks like a tiny diamond falling from heaven. I wonder if this is what my mother saw in her last moments. If the world looked this peaceful, this clean, this pure. I am so tired now. They say that freezing to death is not so bad once you get past a certain point. Your body starts to shut down, your mind starts to drift, and eventually you just fall asleep. It does not sound so terrible, really. My eyes are closing. The cold does not hurt anymore. Everything is just numb. It's quiet. It's peaceful. And then I see her. At first, I think it is a hallucination. The first stage of death, my brain creating comforting images to ease my passing, but she looks so real. So solid, so absolutely impossibly there. My grandmother is standing 10 feet away from me in the snow. She is wearing the same blue dress she wore to my college graduation, her silver hair perfectly styled, her posture regal and commanding. She looks exactly as she did 3 years ago, before the cancer took her, before the hospital, before the end.
"Hello, Daniel,"
she says, and her voice is exactly as I remember it, warm and strong and full of love. I try to speak, but my lips are too frozen. I try to move, but my body will not obey, she says, moving closer. "Do not try to talk yet. Just listen." I do not have much time. She kneels beside me in the snow, and I notice that she casts no shadow. The snowflakes fall through her. She is not real. She cannot be real. "You are wondering if you are dreaming," she says with a slight smile, "or if you are already dead." "Neither, my darling boy. Not yet, anyway. But you will be soon, if we do not act quickly." "Grandmother," I manage to whisper. "I know what your father did," she says. "To your mother. To you, I have always known. And I am so very sorry, Daniel. I thought I could control him. Thought I could use my knowledge to keep him in line, to protect you. But I was wrong. I have always been so very wrong about Richard. The trust, I say, the evidence." She nods. "Yes, everything is there. Financial records showing how he has been embezzling from the company for years. Medical reports proving his intoxication the night of the accident. Witness statements, physical evidence. Everything needed to put him away for the rest of his life." "Why?" I ask. "Why did you wait? Why not turn him in?" Her expression grows sad. "Because I was a coward, Daniel. Because I was more concerned with the family name, with the company's reputation, with preserving the Whitmore legacy than I was with justice. I told myself I was protecting you, protecting your future, but the truth is I was protecting myself. My pride, my empire." She reaches out as if to touch my face, but her hand passes through me like mist. "But I can make it right now," she continues. "I can give you what you need to survive this night and to ensure your father faces justice. But you must listen very carefully to what I tell you." "I am listening," I say, though every word is an effort now. In the garden shed, behind the Christmas decorations, there is a loose floorboard. Underneath it is a key. This key opens a safety deposit box at Connecticut National Bank, box number 743. Inside that box is a second set of documents, documents that prove everything I just told you, and more. But that is not all that is there. What else? I managed to ask. Your father has been planning something for months now, she says. He knew this night was coming, knew that trust would be opened, knew his crimes would be revealed. He has been moving money, hiding assets, preparing to disappear, but I tracked it all, Daniel. Every transaction, every hidden account, every fake identity he created. It is all in that safety deposit box. The cold is getting worse. I can feel my consciousness starting to slip away. Grandmother, I say, my voice barely audible now. I do not think I can make it to the shed. Yes, you can, she says firmly. You are a Whitmore, Daniel. You do not give up. We do not surrender. And we certainly do not let men like your father win. She stands up, and suddenly there is a warmth around me. Not physical warmth, but something else. Something that feels like love, like strength, like purpose. Get up, she commands now, and somehow impossibly I do. My legs shake, my whole body trembles, but I push myself up from the snow. The numbness is still there, the cold is still killing me, but now there is something else too, a fierce determination, a refusal to die. The garden shed is only 30 feet away, but it might as well be 30 miles. Each step is agony. Each movement feels like it might be my last. But my grandmother walks beside me, her ghostly form providing some impossible comfort. That is it, she encourages. One foot in front of the other. You can do this, Daniel. I know you can. I reach the shed and pull open the door. Inside, everything is exactly as she described. The Christmas decorations are stacked in the corner. I push them aside with numb, clumsy hands and find the loose floorboard. It takes me 3 tries to pry it up, but finally it comes free. The key is there, exactly where she said it would be. A small brass key on a chain. I grab it and put it around my neck. Good, my grandmother says. Now, we need to get you warm before you die. The house, I say. I need to get back inside. Not the house, she replies. Your father is still there with the lawyer? If you go back now, he will find a way to stop you. Or worse than where? She points to the far side of the property. The guest house, the one by the pond. It has been empty since I died, but the heat still works. The combination to the lock is your birthday. Day, month, year. I look at the distance. At least 200 yards through the snow and darkness. I do not think I can make it. You can, she says, and you will. Guess I did not survive poverty, war, and cancer, just to watch my grandson freeze to death because my son is a murderer. Her words light something inside me. Anger, maybe. Pride, or simple stubbornness. Whatever it is, it gets me moving. The walk to the guest house is the longest journey of my life. Several times I fall. Several times I think I cannot go on. But each time, my grandmother is there, her voice in my ear, telling me to get up, to keep moving, to survive. By the time I reach the guest house, I cannot feel anything below my waist. My hands are useless blocks of ice, but I manage to punch in the combination with my knuckles. The door opens. Inside, I find the thermostat and turn it up as high as it will go. Then I collapse on the couch, my body shaking uncontrollably. My grandmother sits beside me, and I realize I can see through her now, see the wall behind her translucent form. You are fading, I say. Yes, she replies. I was only allowed this one intervention, Daniel. One chance to save you. After this, I will not be able to return. Wait, I say, panic rising in my chest. Do not go, please. I need you. No, she says gently. You do not. You never did. You are strong, Daniel. Stronger than me. Stronger than your father. Stronger than any of us. You just needed to believe it. The heat is starting to work now. Feeling is returning to my extremities in waves of excruciating pain. But I am alive. Against all odds, I am alive. What do I do now? I ask. You go to the bank first thing tomorrow morning, she says. You get those documents, and then you go to the police. You tell them everything. About your mother, about tonight, about all of it. And the company, the Whitmore name? She smiles sadly. The Whitmore name stopped mattering the moment your father chose murder over love. Let it burn, Daniel. Let it all burn. And then, from the ashes, you build something new, something better, something worthy of your mother's memory. Tears are streaming down my face now. I love you, grandmother. I love you too, my darling boy. Always have. Always will. She is fading faster now, becoming more transparent with each passing second. One more thing, she says, her voice growing faint. In the safety deposit box there is also a letter. A letter I wrote to you. Read it when you are ready. It explains everything. All my mistakes, all my regrets, and all my hopes for you. I will, I promise. She smiles one last time. Merry Christmas, Daniel. May this be the last time you ever have to spend it in the cold. And then she is gone. Simply gone, as if she were never there at all. I sit in the guest house for a long time, letting the heat restore my body, letting the tears flow freely. Outside, the snow continues to fall, covering the path I walked, erasing all evidence of my desperate journey. And when I finally have enough strength, I pull out my phone. It is warmed up enough to turn back on, though the battery's nearly dead. I have just enough charge to make one call. I dial 911. I need to report an attempted murder, I say when the operator answers. And I need you to send police to the Whitmore estate immediately. The man who tried to kill me is still inside, and he is dangerous. The operator asks me questions. My name, my location, what happened. I answer them all as clearly as I can. Within minutes, I hear sirens in the distance. I watch through the window as police cars pull up to the main house. I watch as officers enter. I watch as my father is led out in handcuffs, his face pale, his eyes searching the darkness as if looking for me. He wanted me dead, wanted to bury me in the snow like he buried the truth about my mother. But he failed, because of my grandmother, because of me. Because some things refuse to stay buried, no matter how deep you dig. An ambulance arrives, and paramedics help me out of the guest house. They wrap me in heated blankets and check my vital signs. Frostbite on my fingers and toes, they say. Mild hypothermia, but I will recover. I will survive. A detective approaches me as I am being loaded into the ambulance. Mr. Whitmore, he says, we're going to need your statement about what happened tonight, and we'll tell you everything, I say. But first, tomorrow morning, I need you to meet me at Connecticut National Bank. There is a safety deposit box there. Box number 743. Inside it, you will find evidence of crimes dating back 17 years, including evidence that my father murdered my mother and covered it up. The detective's eyes widen. Are you certain? I am certain. My grandmother left instructions. She made sure the truth would come out one way or another. As the ambulance pulls away, I look back at the Whitmore mansion. The Christmas tree is still visible through the front window, all those perfect ornaments twinkling in the darkness. But the house looks different now, smaller somehow, less imposing. It is just a house, just wood and stone and glass. It has no power anymore, no hold over me. My grandmother's ghost has set me free. The next morning, despite the doctor's protests, I insist on going to the bank. The detective and 2 other officers accompany me. The bank manager opens the safety deposit box with the key my grandmother left for me. Inside, as promised, are documents. Hundreds of them. Financial records showing my father's embezzlement. Medical reports from the night of my mother's accident proving his blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. Witness statements from people who saw him drinking at the bar before driving. Photographs of the accident seen that the police never saw. Phone records showing my grandmother's investigators tracked my father's movements for years. But there is also something else. A sealed envelope with my name on it in my grandmother's handwriting. The detective is photographing the documents, securing the evidence, but I step away to open the letter. My hands still bandaged from frostbite, struggle with the seal. Finally it opens. My dearest Daniel, the letter begins. If you are reading this, it means I am gone, and the truth has finally come to light. I know you will have questions. Why did I wait so long? Why did I not turn your father in immediately? The answer, I am ashamed to say, is cowardice mixed with pride. When I discovered what your father had done to your mother, I was faced with a terrible choice. Expose him and destroy the family name I had spent my life building, or use the information to control him, to keep him in line, to ensure he could never hurt anyone else. Chose control. I chose the company over justice. I chose my legacy over doing what was right. For 17 years, I have lived with that decision. For 17 years, I have watched your father become more bitter, more cruel, more desperate. And for 17 years, I have watched you grow into the man your mother always hoped you would become. Kind, thoughtful, brave. Everything Richard is not. The trust was my attempt to make things right. I could not bear the thought of dying with this secret. But I also could not bear the thought of destroying everything while I was alive to see it, so I created this time delay. 3 years after my death, the truth would come out. By then I thought, enough time will have passed for the family to survive the scandal. But I see now that I was wrong about that too. Because Richard was never going to accept justice. He was always going to fight, always going to scheme, always going to hurt whoever got in his way, including you. I am so sorry, Daniel. Sorry I did not protect you sooner. Sorry I valued reputation over righteousness. Sorry I let a murderer raise my grandson because I was too proud to admit my son was a monster. But I am not sorry for one thing. I am not sorry that I loved you with every fiber of my being. You were the light in my darkness, the hope in my despair, the proof that good can come from bad. Your mother would be so proud of you. In this safety deposit box, you will also find documents transferring my entire personal fortune to you, not to the company, not to the family trust. To you personally. It amounts to approximately $400 million, free and clear, with no strings attached. I do not give you this money to make you rich. I give it to you because I know you will use it wisely, compassionately, purposefully. You will use it to help people, to change lives, to make the world better. You are the Whitmore I always hoped to create, and you did not need my money or my company or my guidance to become that person. You just needed love, and your mother gave you that before she left. Use this money to be free, Daniel. Free from the weight of the Whitmore name. Free from the burden of the family business. Free to be whoever you want to be, to go wherever you want to go, to do whatever you want to do. And when people ask you who you are, do not tell them you are a Whitmore. Tell them you are your mother's son. That is the only legacy that matters. With all my love, now and always, your grandmother, Margaret I, read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. $400 million. More money than I could ever spend. But that is not what makes me cry. It is the words, the apology, the love, the permission to let go. The detective approaches me. Mr. Whitmore, we have what we need. Your father is being charged with attempted murder for what he did to you last night. Once we review all these documents, there will be additional charges, many of them. What about my mother's death, I ask. The statute of limitations for manslaughter has passed, he says carefully. But vehicular homicide while intoxicated has a longer window in Connecticut. We will need to review the evidence, but there is a very good chance your father will face charges for that as well. I nod. Whatever justice can still be served, I want it served. Over the next few months, the Whitmore empire crumbles. My father's crimes are exposed. Company's stock plummets as investors flee. Board members resign. Partners distance themselves. The mansion is seized as part of the criminal investigation. My father's trial is scheduled for next fall. He will likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Multiple life sentences for embezzlement, attempted murder, and yes, eventually, 4 vehicular homicide resulting in my mother's death. New evidence, my grandmother's investigators had been thorough. I could feel sad about it. About the destruction of everything the Whitmore name once represented. But I do not, because it was all built on lies anyway. Pretty lies, expensive lies, but lies nonetheless. Instead, I focus on what comes next. I establish a foundation in my mother's name, the Sarah Whitmore Foundation for Family Justice. We help victims of domestic violence. We support children who have lost parents to drunk driving. We fund programs that investigate cold cases and help families find closure. I sell the company to a competitor for parts. The Whitmore name disappears from the business world, and I am glad. I travel, I write. I live the life my grandmother wanted for me, the life my mother never got to see me live. And sometimes on cold winter nights, I think I can feel them both with me. Not as ghosts, not as apparitions, but as love, as memory, as the best parts of who I am. It is Christmas Eve again, 1 year since that terrible night. I am in a small cabin in Vermont, far from Connecticut, far from the Whitmore estate, far from everything that used to define me. The snow is falling outside, soft and peaceful. I am not afraid of the cold anymore. I've learned that you can survive anything if you have something worth surviving for. Purpose, truth, love. There is a knock at my door. I open it to find a young woman standing there, shivering in the cold. She looks terrified. Please, she says. My boyfriend, he locked me out. I do not have anywhere to go. I step aside immediately. "Come in, get warm. You are safe now." She enters gratefully, and I hand her a blanket and make her hot tea. As she warms up, she tells me her story. It is different from mine in the details, but the same in the fundamentals. Someone who claimed to love her tried to hurt her, tried to control her, tried to make her disappear. "You're going to be okay," I tell her. "I know it does not feel like it right now, but you are going to survive this. And when you do, you are going to be stronger than you ever imagined possible." "How do you know?" she asks. "So I've been where you are, and someone saved me. Now I am going to help save you." I call the police. I call the Foundation's emergency hotline. Within an hour, she has a safe place to stay, a lawyer who specializes in domestic violence cases, and a therapist who can help her process the trauma. As she leaves with the advocates from the Foundation, she turns back to me. "Thank you," she says. "You saved my life." "No," I tell her. "You saved your own life by having the courage to ask for help." I just held the door open. After she leaves, I stand by the window and watch the snow fall. Somewhere out there, my father sits in a cell, paying for his crimes. Somewhere out there, other people are suffering, other families are breaking, other secrets are festering. But also, somewhere out there, my grandmother's spirit rests easy. Because the truth came out. Because justice was served. Because the cycle was broken. I pour myself a glass of wine and raise it to the window. To my mother, Sarah. To my grandmother, Margaret. To everyone who has ever been left out in the cold, literally or metaphorically, by someone who should have loved them. And to the ghosts who come back to save us when we need them most. Merry Christmas, I whisper into the quiet night. And thank you for everything. The snow continues to fall, each flake a tiny miracle, each moment a gift. I am alive. I am free. And tomorrow, I will help someone else find their way out of the cold. Because that is what my grandmother taught me in the end. Not how to build an empire. Not how to make money. Not how to preserve a family name. She taught me that love, real love, means showing up. Even when it is hard. Even when it is impossible. Even when you are dead. She showed up for me when I needed her most. And now I will spend the rest of my life showing up for others. That is the real Whitmore legacy. Not the company. Not the money. Not the mansion. Just love. Just truth. Just the courage to stand up and say no more. No more secrets. No more lies. No more leaving people out in the cold. I finish my wine and turn away from the window. Tomorrow I will wake up and continue the work. The Foundation has dozens of cases pending. Hundreds of people need help. The world is still full of fathers who hurt their children, families who bury their secrets, empires built on suffering. But tonight, on this Christmas Eve, I allow myself to rest, to remember, to honor those who came before me and those who will come after. I am 25 years old. I am a survivor. I am a philanthropist. I am a son who lost his mother too soon. I am a grandson who was saved by a ghost. And I am proof that even on the coldest night, even in the darkest moment, even when death seems certain, love can still break through. My grandmother broke through for me. And in doing so, she taught me the most important lesson of all. We are never truly gone as long as someone remembers us, as long as someone carries our love forward, as long as our actions ripple through time, changing lives, saving souls, making the darkness a little less dark. Thank you, grandmother. Thank you for remembering me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me enough to come back from the dead. I will carry that love forward every day, every moment, every life I touch. That is my promise. That is my purpose. That is my Christmas miracle. The snow falls. The fire crackles. The world turns. And somewhere, in some place beyond understanding, I think my grandmother smiles. Her work is done. Her legacy is secure. It's not in buildings or bank accounts, but in me. In the Foundation, in every person we help, every life we save, every truth we expose. The Whitmore name may be gone from the business world, but the Whitmore spirit, the real spirit that my grandmother tried so hard to create, that lives on. In kindness, in courage, in the simple act of refusing to let anyone freeze in the cold ever again. That is how I will remember this night. Not as the night I almost died, but as the night I learned to truly live. With purpose, with with passion, the unshakable knowledge that love, real love, can survive anything, even death itself. Merry Christmas, grandmother. Merry Christmas, Mom. Merry Christmas to everyone out there fighting their own cold nights, their own cruel fathers, their own buried secrets. You are not alone. You will survive. And when you do, you will discover a strength you never knew you had. I promise, because I am living proof. The fire burns low. I add another log and watch the flames dance. Outside, the snow has stopped. The sky is clear now, revealing thousands of stars. Somewhere up there, my grandmother is watching. My mother too, and they are proud. It's not because of the money, not because of the foundation, not because of anything I have accomplished. They are proud because I chose truth over lies, justice over silence, love over fear. And that, in the end, is the only thing that really matters. I crawl into bed, warm and safe and alive. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new people to help, new battles to fight. But tonight I sleep peacefully for the first time in years, because I am finally free. Free from the past, free from the pain, free from the cold, and ready at last to step into the future my grandmother always knew I deserved. A future built not on what was taken from me, but on what I choose to give. Starting tomorrow. But tonight I rest and dream of snow that falls without fear, of houses with doors that never lock, of families that love without conditions. I dream of a world where no one is ever left out in the cold. That is the world I will help create. One person at a time, one story at a time, one truth at a time. Until the cold cannot hurt us anymore, till love wins. Always.